you going to do about it? I'll suck it if you have an attitude, and I can do it today if I want to.
Go on.
And I can do it on your wedding day and your birthday.
Okay, well,
and the
we'll
days
see.
After.
Okay.
I've been in situations where he's been with you in a social setting. He'll call me.
What if I told you that the woman charging men $8,000 an hour to teach them how to attract high-value women was secretly bragging about being the ultimate side chick? Meet Saga Khan, the Dubai-based dating coach who built an empire telling people how to have standards, only to have her own dirty secrets exposed in the most humiliating way possible. This isn't just another influencer downfall story. This is about a woman who weaponized psychology, faked credentials, and lived a double life that would make even the most shameless reality TV stars blush. The woman who preached about rejecting low-value behavior was caught on audio telling another woman she could pleasure her fiancé anytime she wanted, including on their wedding day. The coach who taught women to value themselves was exposed using body filters to warp her appearance while calling her followers stupid for not seeing through fake people. And the self-proclaimed psychologist who charged premium rates for mental health advice, she never even had a license to practice. But here's the kicker. When confronted with all the evidence, her response was to threaten lawsuits and claim everyone was lying, even though the proof was literally in her own voice. Before we dive into the chaos that destroyed her reputation overnight, let's understand exactly how Sadia Khan managed to fool hundreds of thousands of people into believing she was the authority on relationships. Because the higher you build your throne of lies, the more spectacular the fall becomes. Sadia Khan didn't just stumble into success. She calculated every move to build what appeared to be the perfect coaching empire. Operating out of Dubai, she positioned herself as the bridge between Eastern wisdom and Western psychology, marketing herself as a licensed psychologist with advanced degrees from prestigious universities. Her content was everywhere. Instagram posts about being a high-value woman, YouTube videos teaching men how to attract quality partners, and TikTok clips that went viral for their bold relationship takes. But here's what made her different from other dating coaches flooding the internet. While most charge a few $100s for their programs, Sadia was commanding $8,000 per hour for one-on-one coaching sessions. Her premium courses cost more than most people's cars, and she justified these insane prices by claiming to be a qualified psychologist offering genuine therapy, not just dating advice. Her bio read like a credentials flex: psychology degree from University of Manchester, master's in developmental psychology from Regent's University London, licensed to practice in Dubai. The audience ate it up. Men desperate to understand women saw her as the female perspective they'd been missing. Women looked up to her as the embodiment of confidence and self-worth. Her follower count exploded. Over 750,000 on Instagram, more than 800,000 YouTube subscribers, and hundreds of thousands more across other platforms. She wasn't just giving advice, she was selling a lifestyle, a mindset, an identity. The irony, while teaching others about authenticity and high standards, she was living a lie so elaborate it would take years to fully unravel. Her signature message was simple but powerful. Know your worth, demand respect, and never settle for less than you deserve. She looked directly into the camera with that composed, almost regal presence and tell women they had the power to reject any attention that didn't serve them. For men, she offered the secret formula to becoming irresistible to high-quality women. It was intoxicating content for people struggling with modern dating, and they were willing to pay premium prices for her guidance. Everything started to crumble in August 2025 when a content creator named John Dorsey decided to take a closer look at the woman everyone was calling relationship goals. What he discovered would trigger the biggest coaching scandal of the year and expose just how dangerous the unregulated world of online advice really is. The first crack in C's perfect facade wasn't even about the affair that would later destroy her. It was about something much more trivial, yet equally revealing. John Dorsey released a video showing how Sia used waist filters in her content to make herself appear slimmer and more curvaceous. For most influencers, this wouldn't be career-ending news. But Sia had built her entire brand on authenticity, telling women to be confident in their natural selves and reject the pressure to alter their appearance for others. The hypocrisy was glaring. Here was a woman charging thousands to teach self-confidence while secretly editing her body in every video. But Dorsey had uncovered something far more damning, and he was just getting started. On September 2nd, 2025, he dropped a bombshell that would send shockwaves through the entire coaching community. The leaked audio was from January 2021, and it featured Sadia Khan in conversation with a woman whose fiancé she had allegedly been seeing. But this wasn't just any confrontation. This was Sadia at her most unhinged, making statements so outrageous they seemed too crazy to be real. In the recording, you can hear her tell the devastated woman that she could pleasure her fiancé whenever she wanted, that she could do it on their wedding day if she felt like it, that she had already been with him while they were together and would call her man after being with the woman. The woman on the other end, clearly heartbroken and desperate, challenges Saya to go ahead, but instead of backing down or showing any remorse, Saya doubles down, bragging about her position as what she herself admits is a side chick. The contempt in her voice is unmistakable. This isn't someone who got caught up in a moment of passion. This is someone reveling in the power she holds over another woman's relationship. But the audio was just the beginning. Dorsey also released screenshots of text messages that appeared to be from Sadia's phone, where someone with her number brags about being a permanent side piece, claims that women in Dubai can choose any man they want, and makes it clear she has zero respect for committed relationships. These weren't private thoughts shared with a close friend. These were taunts directed at the woman whose life she was helping to destroy. The internet erupted. Comment sections that had once been filled with praise for Sadia's wisdom were now flooding with disgust, disbelief, and demands for answers. This was the same woman who had built her career, teaching people about respect, boundaries, and high-value behavior. How could someone who preached about standards be caught celebrating her role in breaking up an engagement? The revelations about the affair were devastating enough, but they were just the tip of the iceberg. As people started digging deeper into Saga Khan's background, they discovered that her entire professional identity might be built on lies. Remember those impressive credentials she flaunted? The psychology degrees from prestigious universities, the claims about being a licensed psychologist qualified to provide therapy,
Interviewer, and what you need to know is that she's a pathological liar. I already knew this lady was a fraud from my deep research. Here are the fast facts. Fact number 1, is she a psychologist? Absolutely not. She's not licensed anywhere, has not been. And fact number 2, she lies about her education. I went to her LinkedIn, she's got things noted, she's mentioned them to me personally. But after I did some digging, I found out that this girl has a bunch of Photoshop degrees that she just carries around and posts places online.
Investigation after investigation started revealing the same shocking truth. There was no record of Sadia Khan holding the qualifications she claimed to have. YouTubers Ebba and Preach used the Wayback Machine to find archived versions of her website, showing how she had quietly removed and modified her claimed credentials over time, apparently hoping no one would notice. The deeper researchers dug, the more disturbing the picture became. Sadia wasn't just exaggerating her qualifications, she appeared to have fabricated an entire professional identity. While she did hold a basic bachelor's degree in psychology, that's just the first step in a much longer journey to becoming a licensed psychologist. In most jurisdictions, you need a master's degree at minimum, often a doctorate, followed by supervised clinical experience and passing rigorous licensing exams. Sadia had done none of this. When pressed about additional qualifications, she pointed to certificates from online courses, the kind of pay-to-print credentials that have zero credibility in the actual psychology field. It's like claiming to be a doctor because you took a first aid class. But here's what made this fraud so dangerous. She wasn't just calling herself a coach or advisor. She was explicitly marketing psychological services, offering therapy, and charging therapeutic rates for what she claimed was professional mental health treatment. Think about the implications. People with real psychological issues, relationship trauma, and mental health struggles were paying thousands of dollars thinking they were getting professional help from a qualified therapist. Instead, they were getting advice from someone whose main qualification seemed to be confidence and good marketing. The ethical violations alone were staggering, but the potential harm to vulnerable clients seeking genuine help was even worse. But the fake credentials were just another layer of the deception. Because as more content creators started examining Sadia's behavior, they discovered that the woman teaching emotional regulation and healthy communication had some serious anger management issues of her own. Screenshots started surfacing of Sadia's Instagram DM conversations with random followers who dared to disagree with her content. These weren't polite professional responses, they were unhinged rants filled with personal attacks, threats, and the kind of emotional instability you'd expect from someone having a complete breakdown, not from someone charging premium rates to fix other people's psychological problems. In one exchange, a woman politely disagreed with something Sadia posted in her story. Sadia's response was to launch into a vicious personal attack, questioning the woman's intelligence, her worth, and basically everything about her existence. This wasn't an isolated incident. Multiple people came forward with similar experiences of being verbally abused by the woman who was supposed to be teaching emotional mastery. Even more disturbing was a message Saya sent to another content creator during some kind of online dispute. She attacked not just the woman but her family, going so far as to suggest that her partner didn't want their unborn baby. This is the kind of psychological warfare that would make a high school bully blush, coming from someone marketing herself as a mental health professional. The pattern was clear. Sadia Khan was everything she warned her clients to avoid. She was emotionally unstable, manipulative, dishonest, and completely lacking in the self-awareness she claimed to teach others. But here's what made it even more infuriating. When confronted with these screenshots during interviews, she would dismiss them as fake or taken out of context, even when the evidence was overwhelming. The hypocrisy reached peak absurdity when people started analyzing her content more carefully. This was a woman who made videos about the importance of authenticity while using filters to alter her appearance. She preached about having standards while bragging about being a side chick. She taught emotional regulation while having public meltdowns in DM conversations. Every single piece of advice she gave was contradicted by her own behavior. But Sadia wasn't going to go down without a fight. As the evidence mounted and her reputation crumbled, she made a decision that would backfire spectacularly. She agreed to be interviewed by the very people who had exposed her. YouTubers Abba and Preach had been covering the Saga Khan story from the beginning, and they managed to convince her to appear on their channel for what they framed as an opportunity to clear her name and stop the rumors. What followed was one of the most uncomfortable and revealing interviews in recent internet history. From the moment the interview started, it was clear that Sadia had no good answers for the evidence against her. When shown the leaked audio recording, she didn't deny it was her voice. Instead, she claimed the man involved was a player who was obsessed with her despite being engaged, and that she had only made those provocative comments to show the fiancé that she could take her man if she wanted to, as if that somehow made it better. When confronted with the text message screenshots, she tried to claim they weren't from her phone but from someone on her team who had access to numbers used for her WhatsApp groups. She suggested that her staff might have used altered pictures of her and posed as her to send those messages. The explanation was so convoluted and implausible that even she seemed to struggle with it. But the most damaging part of the interview came when Abba and Preach questioned her.
But yeah, we can have sex on Saturday.
Shut up, man.
Have fun. See you soon, gorgeous. You owe me dick, by the way.
Coming to give it to you. Wait there.
I'm waiting. But let's aim for not going back, though.
You never left.
No, babe. You never left.
Nah, I'm getting you pregnant.
Might as well.
Not looking after it, though.
What could go wrong except everything?
Psychology credentials. This was her chance to produce evidence of her qualifications, to shut down the rumors once and for all. Instead, she made an admission that destroyed what was left of her credibility. She revealed that she had applied for a psychology license, but never actually received it. All she had was a basic psychology course, not the advanced degrees in professional licensing she had been claiming for years. The interview also forced her to confront her pattern of toxic behavior online. When shown examples of her unhinged DM responses, she couldn't deny them. Instead, she admitted to having what she called an anger problem, a stunning confession from someone who had been charging people thousands of dollars to learn emotional control. Throughout the entire interview, Sadia's responses ranged from implausible to outright contradictory. She would deny something in one breath and then inadvertently confirm it in the next. It was painful to watch, not just because of the secondhand embarrassment, but because it showed how completely unprepared she was to face the consequences of her deception. The interview was supposed to be damage control. Instead, it became the final nail in the coffin of her credibility. Every answer she gave only made things worse, and by the end, even her most loyal supporters were starting to question everything they thought they knew about her. But Sadia Khan wasn't done making bad decisions. Instead of accepting responsibility and trying to rebuild her reputation honestly, she chose the path that would make her look even worse. She started threatening to sue everyone who had exposed her. Both John Dorsey and Abab and Preach reported receiving legal threats from Sadia's lawyers, demanding they remove their content and stop discussing her case. Dorsey even shared screenshots of the defamation lawsuit paperwork, making it clear he had no intention of backing down. His response was essentially bring it on. He was ready for a legal battle because he believed the evidence was on his side. The legal threats backfired spectacularly. Instead of scaring people into silence, they made Sadia look desperate and guilty. After all, if the allegations were really false, wouldn't it be easier to simply provide evidence proving her innocence? The fact that her first instinct was to try silencing critics through lawsuits only reinforced the impression that she had something to hide. Meanwhile, on her social media accounts, Sadia attempted what might be the most tone-deaf PR campaign in recent memory. She posted a lengthy statement denying all allegations, claiming that no married man or wife would ever come forward because the entire story was fabricated. She insisted that she was qualified and trained for her work and even tried to downplay her fees, claiming she only charged $500 per hour instead of the reported $8,000. But here's where her damage control efforts became almost comedic in their ineffectiveness. After posting her denial, she started reposting fan content that praised her as an extraordinary person and genuine inspiration. In one particularly revealing repost, she shared a follower's message that called her deeply knowledgeable and honest, adding her own comment, "I only attract intelligent, rational, and fair followers who can easily see the difference between fake and real." The arrogance was breathtaking. Even as overwhelming evidence of her deception was being discussed across multiple platforms, she was essentially calling anyone who criticized her stupid and irrational. It was exactly the kind of response you'd expect from someone who had never learned to take responsibility for their actions. Her London events in early September 2025 became another source of controversy. Videos from these seminars showed her continuing to give advice about relationships, trauma, and emotional triggers as if nothing had happened. The cognitive dissonance was staggering. Here was someone whose own emotional regulation and relationship behavior had been thoroughly exposed as toxic, still positioning herself as an expert qualified to help others. The legal threats continued to escalate, with reports that she was pursuing defamation cases against multiple content creators. But rather than intimidating her critics, these actions only drew more attention to the scandal. Streisand effect in full force. Her attempts to suppress the story were making it go viral in ways the original expose never could have achieved alone. The fall of Saga represents something much bigger than just another influencer scandal. It's a perfect example of how the unregulated world of online coaching can become a playground for con artists, fraudsters, and people with serious psychological issues of their own. Think about the broader implications here. Say it charged more per hour than most licensed therapists, psychiatrists, or specialized medical professionals. She was marketing psychological services to vulnerable people without proper qualifications, potentially causing real harm to individuals seeking genuine help. The financial damage alone is staggering. If even a fraction of her claimed client base paid her premium rates, she could have scammed hundreds of thousands of dollars from people who trusted her fake credentials. But the financial aspect is just the beginning. Consider the psychological damage to people who opened up about their deepest insecurities, relationship trauma, and mental health struggles to someone who turned out to be completely unqualified to help them. These weren't just customers buying a product. They were people seeking professional psychological support from someone they believed was a licensed expert. The coaching industry as a whole has virtually no regulation or oversight. Anyone can wake up tomorrow, create a website, and start calling themselves a life coach, relationship expert, or even a psychologist without any consequences. There's no licensing board to complain to, no professional standards to enforce, no way to verify credentials unless you do the research yourself. Sadia's case shows how sophisticated these deceptions can become. She didn't just claim to be a coach. She created an entire fake professional identity complete with university degrees, licensing claims, and therapeutic services. She understood exactly which psychological buttons to push to make people trust her, and she exploited that trust for years without anyone catching on. The response from her remaining supporters reveals another disturbing aspect of online influence culture. Even after all the evidence came to light, some people continued defending her, claiming the audio was fake, the screenshots were doctored, or that her critics were just jealous of her success. It shows how parasocial relationships with online personalities can become so strong that followers will ignore obvious evidence rather than admit they were deceived. This wasn't just about one fraudulent coach. It was about an entire ecosystem that allows unqualified people to profit from others' vulnerabilities with zero accountability. Sadia Khan got caught because her personal behavior was so outrageous, it couldn't be hidden. But how many other fake experts are out there right now taking advantage of people's trust and desperation without ever facing consequences? The scandal also highlighted the double standards and hypocrisy that often exist in the coaching space. The same people who preach about authenticity use filters and fake credentials. The experts teaching emotional regulation have public meltdowns. The relationship coaches giving advice about commitment and respect are bragging about being side chicks who destroy other people's relationships. As of now, Saga Khan's career as a respected relationship coach is effectively over. Her social media engagement has plummeted, her credibility is destroyed, and her legal threats have only made the situation worse. The woman who once commanded thousands of dollars per session for her wisdom is now primarily known for being exposed as a fraud in the most humiliating way possible. But here's what's really disturbing. She's still out there, still posting content, still trying to maintain her authority despite everything that's been revealed. The lack of any real consequences shows just how broken the system really is. She can't practice as a licensed psychologist because she never was one, but there's nothing stopping her from continuing to market herself as a coach to people who might not know about the scandal. The Sadia Khan story should be a wake-up call for anyone considering paying for online coaching or therapy services. Do your research, verify credentials, ask for proof of licensing. Don't just trust someone because they're confident, popular, or expensive. The internet has made it easier than ever for sophisticated con artists to build convincing facades, and the victims are often people who are already struggling and vulnerable. In the end, Sadiekan's downfall wasn't caused by her enemies or jealous competitors. It was caused by her own behavior and choices. The audio recordings were her own voice. The text messages came from her own phone. The fake credentials were her own lie. The toxic DM conversations were her own words. She created every piece of evidence that destroyed her reputation. The woman who built an empire, teaching people about high standards and self-respect, became the perfect example of everything she warned others to avoid. And perhaps that's the most fitting end to this story. Sometimes the universe has a sense of irony that no scriptwriter could ever match. The next time you see someone online promising to transform your life for thousands of dollars, remember the name Sadia Khan. Remember that confidence isn't the same as competence, that expensive doesn't mean effective, and that the loudest voices preaching about authenticity are often the ones with the most to hide. Because in a world where anyone can become an expert with nothing more than a camera and an internet connection, the only person you can really trust to protect yourself is you.